Well, thank you for letting me interview today. I'm really excited. I love your column. I've probably been reading your column for about 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, you are hilarious. I love it.
Oh, thank you.
Not a
Thank you.
problem. So, speaking of your great sense of humor, you started writing your column, Ask a Mexican, a few years ago as a joke. Were you really surprised when it started getting syndication?
Oh, absolutely. The column was, I only thought the column was going to appeal to people here in Orange County, California, where my home base is. I write for I write for the OC Weekly, and once I started the column there in November 2004, spring of 2006, we decided to start syndicating it, just sort of as a lark, thinking, oh, no one's going to take it. And actually, the Urban Tulsa was one of the first papers who agreed to do it. We were just shocked that anybody would be interested in it, let alone somebody in Tulsa. We figured,
no kidding.
But once we started printing it, people loved it or loved to hate it, which it didn't matter. People read it, and it's ever since now. I continue to syndicate the column. I just picked up a paper in Fayetteville, Arkansas. That would have been probably the 39th paper that carries my column.
Wow, that's awesome. What seems to be your primary demographic of your audience?
There is no primary demographic, amazingly enough. I'm sure a lot of people think, oh, only Mexicans read it or only racist white people read it. But whenever I have book signings or whenever I have lectures, that's who I take to be my audience, the demographic of my audience. And you see, you look around, and hopefully that's the case also in Tulsa. It's very multicultural. Yeah, you have white people, you have Latinos, African Americans, Asians, immigrants, non-immigrants, a whole bunch of the whole gamut of the American experience, which I think it's great. I guess now whoever reads a column is whoever has an interest in Mexicans, and nowadays that's almost everyone in this country.
Yeah, that's funny. So you do lectures and a whole bunch of different projects. Do you have anything that you're currently working on?
Yeah, I am working on a book about the history of Mexican food in the United States.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, and so Tulsa is going to have a little role in it because of Casa Bonita and then Rancho Grande as well.
Oh, right on. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's amazing. I've never been to either of them, so I'm excited to visit. I've heard many things about Casa Bonita, none of them very good, but still, it's an experience. I can't wait to eat there.
It's kind of more like a novelty thing with Casa Bonita, I think.
Oh yeah. I'm very aware of that.
Oh yeah. So you've done tons and tons of TV and radio appearances. Who is your favorite person to talk to?
Oh, Stephen Colbert, undoubtedly, the Colbert Report. I did that show in 2006. I still don't know how I was able to come on the Colbert Report, but he was such a pleasure. If you see the audio or the video of it now, you can tell how nervous I was.
Oh, yeah, I've seen it. It's so funny. He asked you some odd questions, and then they had the guy dancing in the background with the girls.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Oh, it was great, but off the air, he was such a gracious man. You hear so many horror stories of celebrities being arrogant.
Yeah.
In his case, no, he was so humble and down to earth, thanked me numerous times for appearing on his show. So, of course, I'll probably never come out on it again, but that's fine. One appearance to me, it leaves me with an impression that I could tell to so many other people.
Oh, yeah, I bet. So have you ever had any embarrassing or very awkward moments while you're doing an interview that, stand out the most?
Not really. People sometimes try to throw things at me. They'll try to be flippantly racist or try to surprise me with an odd question, but I've heard them all. I laugh. If you could tell when I'm amused, when I don't even respond, I just laugh and then I respond to the question.
Nice.
Just that, okay, this is funny. I think it's great. I mean, an interview is an interview is an interview. They're all great. They all have their moments.
So, since you do so many interviews, have you developed sort of a question that you would consider to be like a red flag or a kill question, to where somebody asks you just you know what, I'm done. I don't even want to talk about this. That was awful.
No, are you kidding? There's no such thing as a bad question. The worse the question, the better it is for me. I'm looking to get amused. I like the interviews better when they're not asking the same 15 questions people always ask me.
Yeah. Well, it seems like you kind of have this whole thing where you like to entertain yourself. And I guess that's probably what has made your column so big.
Ultimately it's my column. If I want to put in an esoteric joke, I reserve that right to. A joke that maybe 5 people will get, I reserve that right to. It's a nerd column. I'm a nerd. Maybe that's one of the reasons why people like the column, because it's not cookie cutter. You really want to, you really can't expect what's going to happen next. One week it might be a very scholarly question. The following week I might be cursing at people for no real good reason. But, and that's what's most liberating about the column, is that it's my column. I get to do whatever I want with it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So there are certain topics that you haven't gotten to address yet. I'm sure you've heard about these Mexican pirates. I gotta admit, like, the first time I heard of this, I was like, oh, that's awesome. And then I was like, wait a minute, that's also terrifying. How do you feel about that? What do you think about it?
Well, crime is crime. Crime is, that sort of crime, killing people, that's never good. That's never to be lauded. It's also expected, though. If you have an economy in Mexico as devastated as it is, you're always going to have a black market. Some of it's going to be a little bit more innocuous, like selling bootleg CDs or DVDs, and some of it's just going to be hijacking. It's not a uniquely Mexican thing. You have pirates all across the globe,
exactly.
Especially in places with lakes or oceans or any sort of seafaring industry. So it's sad, but it's not a surprise.
No, I mean, look at the Somalian pirates too. I mean, it's everywhere.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Somalians. Yeah, the Somali pirates. Yeah.
It seems like so much publicity lately. We've got the pirates, all the recent issues with immigration, and also the publicity over the MS-13 gang. So it seems like just particularly Mexicans are getting a lot of attention. Would you say it's more like publicity, or would you say it's more negative, like hazing?
Like hazing? No. Because when it comes to hazing the ethnicity, you usually get people beat up and the like. There's always been a criminal stereotyping to Mexicans. It's not anything new. You look at the history of Mexicans in the United States, one of the descriptions that non-Mexicans had about Mexicans, they're criminals, they're thieves, they're, what's that great word? Oh my God, it's this obscure Latin word that, oh my God, well, they're liars. Let's just use that word. They're liars. They're thieves. You can't trust them. That's it. They're mendacious. That's the word. They're mendacious. Yeah, they're mendacious. All these things. That's what people were saying about Mexicans 150 years ago. That's what people are saying about Mexicans now. It's not a big surprise.
Well, it seems like too, though, anytime any ethnic group comes over from another country, they always seem to have the same reaction to it. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, I saw an interview with you where you were talking about the Irish when they first came. People hated them, and then a couple of years ago, all the stuff with the Middle Eastern people, and now for some reason we're like focusing back on, oh no, Mexicans are bad, when really they're just coming to sometimes send money back home or to find jobs or just to live a dream.
Yeah, no, the American way has always been to bash the newcomers.
Yeah.
Allow the newcomers to become Americans, and then those newcomers now bash the newcomers. The difference with Mexicans, I would argue, though, is that the newcomers are always replenishing themselves. In other words, unlike other countries where you had massive Italian migration to this country at the turn of last century, Italian migration to this country is not as big anymore. But Mexican migration has always been consistent, or rather has always been constant and always been easy, based on the fact that Mexico and the United States share a border. So
exactly.
that's always going to happen.
So I got to ask, I asked some people and some friends, hey, I'm interviewing the guy that writes the Ask a Mexican column. Do you have questions you want to ask? And I've got 2 questions for you from friends and fans and alike. So first one is, I got to know, man, why do Mexicans give people nicknames based on their physical attributes?
I think that's part of any culture. You call somebody who's short, shorty. You call somebody who, is fat, or whatever. Or maybe Americans don't do it as much as anymore. But Mexicans, one thing about Mexicans is that we love to kid people. Especially we love to kid our loved ones, our friends. Everyone has a nickname. It's not always going to be, how can I say this, a flattering nickname. It's just part of being Mexican. It's showing it's tough love. That's just a very Mexican attribute to it.
So if you get a nickname, you should consider it like affection or like a compliment.
Oh yeah,
That's
if
awesome.
somebody calls you güerita, like white girl, whitey girl, that means that they care for you. That is, the thing is, if you don't call them, if you call them by their proper name, then something's wrong.
Huh. That's awesome. That's good to know. I also work at a restaurant, and all of our cooks call me Flaca, so
Yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah, it's a term of affection. It's a term of affection.
That's hilarious. And then my other question for you is, why do Mexicans tend to either tattoo their last names on themselves or put it on their cars?
Say that again, sorry?
Why do Mexicans tend to either tattoo their last names on themselves or tend to put it on their cars?
Because the last name in Mexican culture, historically, it's important. Like any last names for that matter. You want to show people what your roots are, what clan or tribe or group or important family you descended from. In the United States now, especially, you want to show that off in anywhere possible. Here in Southern California, of course, you see it a lot because we're such a car culture. So people are more than happy to not only put their last names on it, but also on their trucks, but also the state from Mexico that they're from, the city that they're from, anything just to show off.
Gotcha.
With tattoos, I think that's just the mainstreaming of tattoo culture. Because before, only criminals would get tattoos. Now everyone
True.
gets tattoos.
Yeah.
So my dad, back in his criminal days, he got his last name tattooed on his arm. Now anybody could get it, and no one would blink.
True. Kind of like how you see I actually have a whole bunch of just like white people with Day of the Dead skulls. Like I've got one.
Yeah.
It's because it's like the coolest holiday ever.
Oh, Dia de los Muertos is amazing. It's like Halloween, but with candy, and on top of candy, you also have food, and you have these massive altars and skulls. It's a very macabre holiday, and I'm glad to see that it's finally catching on with the rest of the United States. It's a much better holiday than Cinco de Mayo, because Cinco de Mayo, no one can ever explain to you exactly what it is. But Dia de los Muertos, it's a rough corollary. Yeah, it's the Mexican Halloween. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but at least it shows people that Mexicans, we revere our dead, and we're very Dia de los Muertos. It's not a celebration of alcohol. It's a celebration, and you have parties and festivities, but it's not something that you're allowed to really get drunk at. But you still nevertheless have a great time remembering your loved ones.
Yeah, celebrating your family and whatnot.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's really cool. Well, fantastic. Thank you. Is there anything that you'd like to promote that's going on with you right now?
And of course, people could read me every week in the Urban Tulsa. You can go online to the website. And I would also ask people to be my fan on Facebook. If you type in Ask a Mexican, my little logo pops up, and just be my fan. And so there, I post various rantings every day.
Oh, nice. All right. Well, that's fantastic. Thank you again for letting me interview you. It was a privilege. Very excited.
Cool. Okay, take care.
No problem. You too. Bye.